these tools and these techniques have shown me that there is more than what is commonly known and widely understood. I've experienced those results. I'd encourage anyone to explore this with an open mind, to say perhaps there is something out there which is a little bit different, but can be effective and needs to be understood at a wider scale. I've worked with Mars for about 2.5 years, coming up to 3 years. And one day I remember it was in this room on a sofa right next to me. I was just sitting, feeling just disenfranchised with life and just looking through videos on YouTube, trying to find answers to, well, why is stuff so difficult? And at that time, I also started to have problems with drugs and alcohol. And that's kind of where I was making myself feel better. So, and I'd come to a point where I thought, something doesn't feel right. And then I just came across in my scrolling of YouTube a video of Mars speaking, or somebody interviewed him while he was at an event. When I saw him read her, I was just gripped. I didn't know what he was saying or what he was doing, but I just sat there and I thought, I just need to watch more of this guy. So I kept watching more and more YouTube videos, just found whatever I could on Mars, wondered why I'd never heard of him, wondered if he was a scam, because this seems a bit weird. And it so happened that in about 2 months, he was coming to London. So I bought a ticket to that event and went to see him. And I had one session before that event as well. I remember that first session. I just felt it's hard to describe, but I just felt something really, really strong. He's told me to stay on the line. And right after the session, I just dropped and just cried for a while, and I just stayed there. The event was he was basically doing the group sessions at the event. He did a talk. Actually, he did a talk, and he said, "Is anyone new to me? I will just read you on stage." And I would never have done that at that time. I was very shy, very insecure. I just ran to the stage. I was like, "Yeah, work on me. It's all good." And I remember sort of falling over. He had to catch me, and somebody in the audience said to me, "Do you think he hypnotized you? Is this a scam? Is this, what do you think that was?" I said, I don't really know, but it felt very real. And then about 10 minutes after that was my first actual session with him. That's when I started to realize what was driving me all this time. That's when a lot of family stuff came up, a lot of ancestral patterns he raised and talked about. So yeah, that's when awareness started to kind of come in. I never had any severe health problems. I had lots of digestive issues, lots of food intolerances. I had trouble sleeping. I had trouble with my energy levels. So nothing like chronic or a diagnosed disease, as it were, but just lots of issues in that way. I also was never really able to maintain good physical fitness for very long. So anytime I would say start going to the gym or start trying to get healthy, I was never able to, keep that up. I was always up and down. I was either skinny, or then sometimes I'd get put on loads of weight and become a little bit overweight. The weight was always up and down. Energy levels were always up and down. Digestion was very bad. Oh, and my eyesight. I used to wear glasses. And I used to have a lot of allergies, actually, which and of everything I've mentioned, I don't have any of those things anymore. What I do have is some remnants of a few digestive issues, which I found a practitioner to help me to kind of finally resolve and see what they were. I've been working with Mars for a few months already, and he used to speak about how the frequency works actually creates DNA level changes and creates those physical changes. And it was a new concept for me. I didn't quite understand how that would happen. But I thought I would test the theory. I had a feeling something might happen. So Mars did a medi-healing called The Power of Masculinity. So I thought, well, if that's going to make me more masculine, what's the thing I can measure to see if that's really going to do the physical thing Mars talks about? So I thought, let me get my testosterone checked, because I always thought I may have sort of lower testosterone because I could never really build muscle. I'd never had it checked before. But I had that test done, and my testosterone came back in the normal range, but it was on the lower end of the normal range. So I thought, fine. I left it a few weeks. I did not change anything in my diet or exercise in terms of what I was doing at the time. There was no significant changes in, I didn't start taking any supplements. I just left it for a few weeks. And I thought, let me see if this has changed. I sent off for another test, and it was, I think the number, if I did the maths right, it came at like almost 45% higher than it was after my first test. So in August, whatever the unit of measure of testosterone is, in August it was 15.6. And in October, it was 22.8. So yeah, from 15.6 to 22.8 in about 10 weeks. In 10 weeks of doing nothing. Like I didn't do anything. That was one of the first measurable changes I saw. That was before I really understood all of the other aspects of the work and I really started to integrate it. That was when I was still, you know, just trying to understand and figure out what this was. I just ran a little experiment. These days, when I go to, so if I go to more recent people like my physiotherapist or people who are kind of working on me or in that sense, my physical body, they notice changes very, very quickly. So like my physical attributes of my body are really changing fast. So today, the guy who does, I went to for an osteo treatment, he noticed a change in like mobility in my hip because I can see my hips are starting to look different again, not just in shape, but to me they look like different hips. I catch myself in the mirror and it looks kind of weird. And he asked me, he's like, "What are you like? Are you doing lots of yoga? What's going on?" And I'm not. I'm doing this work. I am doing some physical exercise, but the rate of change and the impact of the physical things I'm doing in terms of the nutrition and the exercise, the rate of change I've never sort of experienced before. And I've tried that stuff before. I've had personal trainers and nutritionists to try and get me in shape and all of that stuff. This is the first time where it's actually I'm getting results, and it's very early days, but the rate of change is crazy. In the past, it would be an effort. It would be an effort to eat well. It would take willpower to not eat the thing that I shouldn't eat. It was a lot of effort, which was in fact quite draining, and it was not enjoyable to try and sustain something like that. Now, um, sort of doing things that are beneficial for my health and that are beneficial for my body come from this. They're effortless, and I almost come from this place of really just deep self-appreciation. At a physical level, I have days where I just enjoy my energy level so much. And I record this on sort of my Bootstrap as well. So I record my output. So I can go play tennis for 3 hours in the morning, take a break, have some food, go boxing in the evening, then sit in the sauna for ages. And then in between, I would be cycling for maybe like 45 minutes, something like that. And I feel good. I come home and I feel like I've exerted myself and feel good. The other thing I've noticed, talking about data and talking about some science, but when I exert myself, I measure sort of my recovery and my heart rate variability. I've noticed that on slightly less sleep, even if I sleep a little bit less, my heart rate variability and recovery numbers are still pretty high. They've higher than they've ever been, to the point where I thought something was wrong with this. I couldn't figure that out. How would I define Mars? So I used to define him as a healer, right? When I had less of an understanding of what that work was, I used to define him as a healer. But he's not that. He's kind of like the person who shows you the foundation of how to go about life, right? And those basic foundations permeate into everything you do, regardless of what you want to do. He kind of shows you how to build a good foundation to do whatever it is you want to do. And if there's something in the way, he kind of helps you get rid of that. So I don't know if there's a word for that, but I don't think you can put him in a box, because putting things in boxes is quite an unnatural human thing to do. How is it different? There's probably two ways of looking at it. I think So if I look at the physical stuff, like the physios and the personal trainers and nutritionists and all those things that I've been recently working with, it helps their work be more effective on me. That makes sense. So it amplifies all of those things once you've got some of these basics from Mars, right? So that's one. It's kind of like an effectiveness amplifier. Whatever you want to do, it can make it better, but it might make it worse at first. It's just the system. But specifically in terms of therapy and stuff like that, it's just way deeper. It's just way, way, way deeper. I would say, well, whether it's for health or anything you're trying to change, I would say my experience has been that these tools and these techniques have shown me that there's more than what is commonly known and widely understood. And whilst a lot of it may seem and feel like what is historically used to be categorized perhaps as pseudoscience, it's most definitely not, because I've experienced those results. And the testosterone result is just one small example of that. But at the end of the day, any ailment you're trying to heal or any area of your life you're trying to better, you're trying to do it to have a better experience of life. And ultimately, that's what I'm having. I today have better health. I today have better energy. I today overall have a better experience of life. I today don't have a shitload of symptoms with food intolerances and things are just easier for me. Ultimately, any discipline, any science, any modality that we're trying to, achieve anything within, that's kind of the ultimate goal, right? To be more, do better. And I've experienced that with this work firsthand. So I'd encourage anyone to explore this with an open mind, to say perhaps there is something out there which is a little bit different, but can be effective and needs to be understood at a wider scale, and will benefit us if more of us understand this work at a wider scale. That's probably what I'd say.